Tom dig those out. A few observations. No question, I think GE wins the award for the best contractor presentation. Unfortunately, the proposals have never been like that. It would be an improvement from the last one. Fortune cookies kind of hit me strong tonight. There's one though here for all 5 of these people. It was kind of interesting. Judy got this. Is kind of has a double meaning, just like Jim's comment about the guys and me here. Whether I can think up of anything to say about them. It says your place in the path of life is in the driver's seat. That pretty much summarizes what Joe said about these guys and the secretaries, and I think that's a great comment. A little more concerned about the one I got. There was a prospect of a thrilling time ahead for you. As you may recall, my fate has been sitting in McDonnell Douglas's hands and Boeing's for the last week as we've been trying to launch. I'm supposed to leave for Vandenberg in a few minutes to hear a most amazing trust me briefing about 8 o'clock in the morning. It says, don't be bothered by the fact that every time we cycle power, all we do is issue all the discretes and start the timers. It doesn't really mean anything, trust me. So I'm not quite sure what this means, particularly since General Barry asked for his usual standard guarantee when we finish the readiness review. A thrilling time ahead for me. We did talk to Doug Becker, Dick Evans and I, just before came over here to Ghent, guys. He really wanted to express his disappointment that he couldn't be here tonight and how much he appreciated your efforts. Another observation, there's some truth probably to what the Colonel doesn't know what hurt him after hearing the stories about the bicycles and the earthquakes. Truly amazing. And you recognize Ralph's story of why he is singing in this bar in Japan. You, the taxpayers, are paid him per diem. Which isn't bad for a kid from the Utah-Idaho border of a few years ago. Joe was awful serious at the end, and I would like to make a couple observations there. Guys have helped make life a little bit easier for me. It's kind of tough to match some of the superlative comments that Joe has received in the past on his ratings. But it'll start out about the only division chief in BMO who was a captain, who since took over has caused everybody to quit or leave.
Delegate stress.
Really a fine job, Jim. So be sure you answer the phones and turn out the lights there. He talked about the best going away party. You would think he'd be a little concerned about taking care of the boss. There's a tradition we have about logos, which I'm supposed to do and not talk. It seems Joe forgot that. But that kind of fits in this going out of business and everything else. So you probably owe Bob Stravlin somewhere along the line in his rescue attempt. And just taking a brief moment looking at the folks here, to some degree it's kind of interesting for Judy and I to come back. I think some of you are aware that I spend more than an hour or two in this business and associated with this program at various places, and it's kind of like coming back, being reincarnated to see these bright young folks and their wives, and most important, I'd like to recognize the association that they have with each other. Judy and I had my first boss in the Air Force over at our house the other night, and kind of the similar type relationships that Joe was talking about and how he feels with these people. It's a very unique time in their life, one that they don't ever quite get to repeat. It's kind of fun to watch them come, get married, usually get a pet, and then some of them have a kid. There are a few things that have changed. When I was a lieutenant, there were not many that where the wife was a C-141 pilot and the husband was an engineer. But in terms of a lot of the other relationships and the things that they do, a lot hasn't changed. And it really has been a great experience for all of us to know this group. And I think they've had rather an unusual experience at MYEP. Really a close-knit, great group. And I think you'll treasure your associations for a long time to come. I can almost promise you that you'll look back a long time from now and really value the experiences you had. A few other things that might be noticed. John, I think that's your London suit, isn't it? Taxpayers again. Brian claimed he was supposed to get remote duty time because he went to London so many times. John made 2 trips to Paris, part of his job, and that's hard to figure that out. These optical guys may want to harass him about radars, but none of them went to Paris twice, John. So. There's been a lot of interesting times for all the guys, and indeed, in fact, I took a little harassment to express my sense of how I feel about this whole group. I have a friend of mine, again, from my first tour in the Air Force, who's back at Vandenberg, and I had been hoping to see him all week. I called him up and said, I think I'm going to come tomorrow, and he said, yeah, you're really a great guy. The word's already spread that you ordered a sim count today, and you never showed. And that's simply because I said I had more important things to do, and that was to be down here tonight to express our tremendous appreciation to the whole group for the great job that's been done. And indeed, in the words of the song, I think Azimuth will suffer a little bit. This early out thing, no one even knew about it over the command section until I suddenly said that somehow we were losing our best in that process. And again, I'm going to talk to Joe Powell about that little trick. If we can dig in there, there's a couple of smaller ones. We've had a very unusual circumstance in the last few months, the last year or so, that we had some very stable situations with the secretaries. So our record as far as getting some things done on time probably is going to drop dramatically, and unfortunately we seem to be going back to the normal situation where we're losing some tremendous people. But we do have a little token that hopefully you remember, and Peggy. It's really been great, as Joe says, to have people who get the job done and support us, and there's no way that we can really express to both Becky and Peggy our tremendous sense of appreciation for all the effort that they've done. And as Joe said, it's not too bad being the second in command. My problem is I'm only third in command in the front office. And that's incidentally why I figured Jim was really going to tell us the reason he was here, is Jan said he had to come. So ladies, let me again express my appreciation for the job well done, and we really wish you the best, both I guess with the county in one case, and is it PKR? PKR, PKX. Okay. I'll stay away from my feelings about PKX.